Hey y'all, my name is Nat. I hope you're having a terrific day today, and for this video I'm going to be giving 10 webcomic recommendations. So I know I said I was going to do a comic book recommendation video, which I promise I will eventually, but first I wanted to do a few webcomics. I currently read probably around 50 or more webcomics actively. I absolutely love them. They're so easy to digest, they update weekly, and it's really nice to just blast through one on your phone if you're like having a lazy day in bed or something like that. The first 5 I'm going to recommend are all complete webcomics, so you can binge through them and don't have to wait for any extras. The next 5 I'm going to recommend are 5 that are unfortunately not complete yet, but are actively updating. I promise you I am not giving any recommendations to abandoned ones, because trust me, I am completely heartbroken when I realize that a webcomic is abandoned. First off, Shard by Megan Stevenson. This is a webcomic on Webtoons, which is an app and website you can use to read webcomics for free. This story revolves around a young woman who is a witch and finds that she needs a virgin sacrifice, and it's kind of a spin on the normal young female virgin sacrifice in that she goes to the local college and goes to the science department to find the nerdiest guy she can meet and decides he is going to be her sacrifice. But the guy she ends up deciding on might not be as innocent as he seems. Next up is Eerie Waters by Joanne Kwan. She is one of my absolute favorite webcomic artists because I've read multiple of her works and she just does such a great job in creating a story that sucks you in, and the art is so well done. This one is on Tapas, I believe, which is another app and website you can use to read webcomics. This story takes place on Lake Erie, which holds many secrets and no one's quite sure what's at the bottom. However, a young man ends up moving into his aunt's lake house and ends up seeing some unusual things, mostly ghosts. This is a fairly short story. All of the art is in black and white, and while it starts off with some obvious supernatural elements, it actually surprises you with some of the fantasy aspects as well. Next up is The Less Than Epic Adventures of Amal and TJ by E.K. Weaver. This is the only recommendation on here that does have some 18+ scenes and is NSFW. In the span of one day, Amal manages to break up his arranged marriage, come out to his super conservative parents, go on a drinking bender, and be disowned. However, when he wakes up, he meets a young man named TJ, who is definitely a mix of alternative and hippie. TJ reveals that the previous night, when Amal was super blackout drunk, they made a deal that they were going to road trip across the country to see Amal's little sister graduate from college, even though his family no longer wants him there. Amal is going to drive, TJ is going to pay the way, but with a 4,000-mile journey ahead of them, you know something interesting is going to come up here and there. This is such a fun ride where you get to watch these two guys go on unexpected adventures while road tripping across the country, but at the same time get to see Amal slowly start to accept himself for who he is. This comic is available online and in print. I'm going to be putting a link to that one in the description down below. Next up is Check Please by Ngozi Ukazu. Sorry, I'm trying really hard to pronounce this properly. Next up is Check Please by Ngozi Ukazu. This webcomic is also available in print and at its own website. This story follows Eric Biddle, who was once a professional figure skater from Georgia who has recently moved up north to go to college on an athlete scholarship, but is playing for the hockey team. However, as good as a skater Eric is, he cannot take a hit to save his life. This story is told in multiple different ways, one of which being where Eric is actually vlogging his life. Others are some funny explanations of hockey terms coming from some of the different hockey guys. This one also has LGBT themes, and it is so stinking adorable. This recently finished with Eric graduating college. Also, make sure you have snacks ready because Eric loves to bake as well, and he's constantly talking about the different pies and muffins and jams and all those kind of things, and man, it'll make you hungry. The final one is Rock and Riot by Chelsea Ferretti. This one is available on Tapas as well. It follows the adventures of two different gangs, one of women and one of men. It's set in a 1950s style with LGBT plus themes in it. Essentially, these two gangs have hated each other since they were little kids, and recently when one of the guys actually ended up transitioning to become a girl and joined the girls gang, it just reignited the feud. This was a great story with awesome representation. It has a lesbian couple, a gay couple, a bi character, an ace character, some non-binary characters, and a trans character. I loved this one. I wish it was still ongoing, in all honesty. Now let's get started on the webcomics that are currently works in progress. First up is Let's Play by Monji. This is posted on Webtoons. This story follows the life of Sam, who is a game developer and is absolutely ecstatic when her favorite YouTuber goes to play the game, but is completely heartbroken when he ends up giving it a scathing review. Things just get way more awkward when it turns out he is actually her new neighbor. This has fantastic depression and anxiety representation in it. Actually, the emotions of the characters are often animated into little emoticons, which are some of my favorite. They always do really odd things in the background and show up when you're probably expecting them to, but you're not expecting what they're going to do. Now, since I am talking about webcomics, I obviously cannot go through this video without mentioning Heartstopper by Alice Oseman, but given the fact that literally everyone knows about this, I want to reference one that not a lot of people know, but actually has a very similar feel, which is Tripping Over You by Owen White and Suzanne Harcum. This follows the lives of Milo and Liam, which are two boys in college together. Milo is constantly flirting with Liam, but Liam is too unobservant to realize it. Eventually, they actually end up starting a relationship. It's actually really great. This not only focuses on Liam coming out as a bisexual man and accepting himself, this also deals with aspects of divorce, jealousy, getting your first job, and trying to establish yourself as a true adult. This is also available in print as well as on its own website. Next up is one that I'm sure so many people know about, which is Lore Olympus by Rachel Smith on Webtoons. This is one of my absolute favorites because I love Greek mythology. This is essentially a retelling of many of the Greek myths, but mainly focuses on the taking of Persephone. But in this case, Persephone is actually working as an intern in the underworld for Hades. This universe rides the line where it is occasionally still historical and fantasy while also being somewhat modern. It's a very interesting mix, and the art style is just completely gorgeous. All of the characters are in different colors that correspond more with their personality or maybe with what kind of god they are. I will give a heads up that this one references rape and sexual abuse. My newest addiction is Long Exposure by Cam Hayward. This one I found on Tapas, but I believe it is also available on Webtoons. This follows the lives of two teenage boys, once again, Jonah, who's a nerd, and Mitchell, who's a bully. Unfortunately, they are paired up to work on a science project together, and while one day they are hanging out, walking out in the woods, end up going into a fenced off area and getting chased out of it. Later on, they both end up discovering that they have superpowers. Not only does this series watch them try and learn to control their powers, it also focuses on the mysterious car that's suddenly following the two boys around even while they're at school, as well as just how gay they are for each other. That's a direct quote. I have to say this is probably my favorite illustration of hate to love in a romance story. This also handles some heavy themes such as pedophilia, sexual abuse, and just child abuse in general. Finally, the one that I got my best friend addicted to, my sister-in-law's addicted to it, and my boyfriend is also addicted to it, and I am like an entire season behind. That is unOrdinary by Uru-chan. This one can also be found on Webtoons and follows the life of this kid named John who lives in a world where everyone has superpowers, and based on what their superpower is determines their rank in society. So the people who have better powers inevitably end up crushing the people with lower powers, even if it might be excessive. So school fights are incredibly normal in this world. John, however, doesn't have powers and doesn't back down from fights either. If he sees someone getting in a fight with someone who outclasses them, he will then get in the fight for them and just take the beating. He is also best friends with Serafina, who is one of the top powered people in school, and no one's quite sure how that relationship came to be. Inevitably though, We learn John has a secret past, and he definitely might be more than he appears. In the end, John is just incredibly determined to bring down the school's social order and to try and bring some peace because he is so tired of the constant fighting and inequality that's gone on. After reading it for like 5 hours, I told my best friend that she needed to read it right then. And then after recommending another webcomic to my boyfriend, he found this one, got super addicted to it, and is now way farther than I am. I need to catch up on it. I know, I'm a failure. What am I doing? Alright y'all, so that is it. Thank you so much for coming to my channel. Make sure to hit like and subscribe. Comment down below if you have a favorite webcomic that I didn't mention, or if you read any of these. I absolutely will nerd out about them with you. Promise. I come out with videos on Monday and Friday, but until then, I hope you continue to have a terrific day. Bye.